Hey guys, how we doing? Here we go. Episode number 7 of Football Talk with Hawk. Welcome in. We are one episode away of the standings for the year. I'll go over the rules for how I'm going to do that in that video. This one's going to be a little bit faster of a video. This is the fantasy football player ranking video that I have. Everything we've done up to this point has been more focused on the team, and this is going to be more focused on the individual players. That's what fantasy football is. I have heard I should say I've heard quite a few. I have not a lot. I've heard quite a few casual fantasy players say that fantasy football destroyed being able to be a fan of their own team. I don't know how that happens. And here's the reason why. You can be a fan of your team. You can hate drafting another team's players 100%. If you're a Steelers fan, you're not going to pick any of the players from the AFC North or the Patriots probably. Myself as a Colts fan, I'd never drafted Tom Brady once in my entire, still to this day, ever. Never drafted him. Okay, and you can still win. People say you watch the game more for points than you watch for anything else. No, at the end of the day, the fandom always exceeds being able to win in your fantasy league. The fantasy league gives you the opportunity, for me, somebody who is a diehard fan, gives me the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper and see the game behind the game that I am watching. What did the numbers mean? That's how I've been able to kind of mold and learn how to be able to watch football from a objective standpoint as the years have gone on. So for me, fantasy football is another avenue for me to stay up with what is actually happening compared to just what the scores and the box score says. The box score says all the stats, but when you see it laid out in a fantasy football type setup, it kind of shows what the player's really capable of doing when stacked up against their peers, and that is really cool to be able to see. Because you watch the wide receiver rankings, the quarterback rankings. When players get injured, you get to be the first one to jump on that potential sleeper that could really pop. And that's what I love about it. So here we go. We're going to jump right in. And the first thing we are going to do is we have got Penguins top 10 players across the board. So this is not just the rankings. I'm going to do my rankings for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense. Here's Penguins top 10 rankings total. So if you're in the first round of a 10-man draft, these are the 10 players that you want to be looking at depending on where you are drafting. Josh Allen. That's a common one. Him being number 1 is very common. Very, very, I think what they're expecting, and I don't blame anybody who predicts this, what they're expecting is the continuation of the growth from last year. And as he continues to get more comfortable, he's gotten better year over year over year. What I really think potentially could happen this year for Josh Allen, with the way they have the team set up now, this is going to be either this year or next year. I feel like these are the 2 years that are going to be like Peyton Manning's year where he threw the 49 touchdown passes. And that's going to be what it's like for Josh Allen. He threw 49 touchdown passes, only had 8 or 9 interceptions that year. That's what Josh Allen feels like either this year or next year. It feels like he's going to come full circle and have that 1 year where he really pops. I think the playoff loss last year to Mahomes really hurt him because he feels like he didn't outduel Mahomes, even though he really did. At the end of the game, it just came down to the defense. He had that game won with 13 seconds left. I honestly think the defensive coordinator did him wrong. Instead of playing the way they really needed to play, once again, you get lazy, lackadaisical. Everybody thinks 13 seconds you can't win. Took them 2 plays, and they're down there. So, but nonetheless, Josh Allen, number 1. Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver from Minnesota. I think he's going to have an amazing year with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach. Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to potentially be a top 10 quarterback. We'll see if he's in my top 10 rankings here in a second. Derrick Henry, the running back from Tennessee. I think they're going to have to rely on him a lot. I think his numbers are still going to be there, even if they're not going to win games, because their offense has to run through him. If it doesn't, they lose. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver for the Rams. I think his production may drop a little bit. Allen Robinson is a lot better of a receiver, especially in the red zone, than Robert Woods was. But he's still going to get his touches. Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Colts. The offense runs through him. If he gets hurt, we're in some trouble. We're in some trouble. The next 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Lamar Jackson. You can't argue with any of those. The shock may be Jalen Hurts, but I think Penguin's right here. Jalen Hurts is a very interesting, very intriguing quarterback this year, fantasy-wise, because I think the ground game, the ground and pound in the red zone is going to be really strong. They got him A.J. Brown. He's already got Devontae Smith. I think he's got the tools to definitely be fantasy-wise. I'm not gonna say NFL-wise he's one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league. That's not what I'm saying. This is fantasy-wise. Keep it where it's supposed to be. He's going to score a lot of points, though. Very big potential, 50 yards rushing a game, which is 5 points by itself. 2 touchdowns a game. If one's on the ground, that's 6. If it's to the air, that's 4. Points-wise, Hurts could really, really jump up the table this year. And it's a very good possibility. Herbert's going to be on fire. Jackson's going to do what he do. I hope Dalvin Cook is healthy for the entire year. I really do. Dalvin Cook needs to be healthy for the entire year. Minnesota will have a bang good year. Just a bang up year if that is the case. So that is Penguins' top 10 picks. Don't laugh at him. He won the Blackhawk Community League, which, by the way, is now live again. I kept some of the teams from last year as we rolled over, and my community league is once again up and running, and I have slots open. So make sure to join the Discord and join my fantasy football team. We'll have a lot of fun this year. Penguin won the inaugural season last year. Penguin is a dang good fantasy player, and he and I have fun going back and forth when we're on voice at night, going over some of these things. So those are Penguins picks. Let's get into mine. So it's going to be a shorter video. It's kind of what I'm trying to do. Don't want to run this out too terribly long. So there's Penguins picks. We're going to go to quarterback. The top 10 quarterbacks, this is in my opinion, points wise, and I'll throw out some of them potentially that may look a little bit low. So top 5, once again, relatively what Penguin had. Jalen Hurts, here's what I want to... I doubled down with the Jalen Hurts. I agree with Pang. He's going to be one of those. It's a big thing. Absolutely love Jalen Hurts for this year. You may think that Aaron Rodgers is low or that Joe Burrow's low. Here's what I want to point out. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals don't have necessarily a bad season. There will be a sophomore slump to some point. The Super Bowl loser struggles the year after losing. I think it's going to take them a little bit to get that hunger back. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I'm going to be very clear, not a bad team, but I think the numbers you'll see dip could struggle early as it's a bunch of young guys. He's not going to get hit as much. I think they're going to be able to run the ball more. I think Joe Mixon's stats go up a little bit higher. fantasy wise, and Joe Burrow is a solid, very reliable quarterback. You'll want him to be there. You're not going to want to pick him first, but you're going to want him to be able to be there when you need him. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even sure that 7th is where he should be. I don't even know if he should be in the top 10. I just think he's going to struggle so much. They're going to try to rely on defense and running game. And I don't know if he's going to trust his receivers enough. I don't know if he's going to elevate a younger receiving core. I don't trust him. It's about Aaron Rodgers, and selfishness in football does not work. You've got to be able to play with the players on the field. You got to trust your receivers, whether you want to or not. So take your risk. Take your own risk on Aaron Rodgers as your fantasy quarterback. He could have a lot of weeks where he only gets you 12, 15 points. Just saying. But that is the top 10 quarterbacks right there. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, and Joe Burrow. Now on to the next one. A position that has kind of dropped in importance over the last few years, but you still have some majorly good. Now, every single one of these positions, let me be clear, every single one of these rankings is based off of a full, healthy 16 or 17 game season, give or take the 17th game being a bye that they don't play, but most leagues will be over in week 15 or 16. So that is what this is assuming. I don't account for injuries. I know there are at least 3 players on this list right in front of you that could have a drastic injury that takes them out for a while. Dalvin Cook has been dealing with injuries for a little bit. Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. Even potentially DeAndre Swift. He dealt with a few injuries as well. Chubb's dealt with some injuries. It's a running back position. But these are the top 10 running backs, in my opinion. I think Taylor will score more points than Henry. He's a bigger part of the offense. I think they'll have the lead a little bit more. And the Titans won't be able to continue running the ball. It'll be up to Tannehill. Good luck to be able to win games for the Titans. So I think Taylor edges them out. Eckler, I think, is going to be one of the best receiving backs on this list next to Swift and McCaffrey. I think Eckler's ability to receive, I think the screen plays are going to be huge for the Chargers. I see Eckler getting a lot of receptions. So if you're in a point per reception league, he's going to be a running back that gets quite a few of those. I think his numbers will be there. I like how he looks. Injuries, who knows? Same with Dalvin Cook. I think the offense is going to be set up more for Cook to get bigger runs, because I think the offense is going to be, they're not what's the word I'm looking for? Hang on, lost it. They're not as predictable with Kevin O'Connell running his offense compared to Mike Zimmer. You knew Mike Zimmer wanted to run the ball, play defense, run the ball, play defense. Now you've got the 2 receivers on the Thielen and Jefferson. Then you've got Dalvin Cook, and I think it's going to get a little bit different. Defenses won't know how to play the Vikings early, which gives them a huge advantage in my opinion. Dalvin Cook, I think, will have more opportunities open because teams will believe that, hey, they're going to throw the ball. And that will give Cook more opportunity to run. I can't wait to see what he does. I hope he's healthy the whole year. Christian McCaffrey. What can I say? He was the number 1 running back when he's fully healthy. As far as fantasy wise, the guy can do it all. He's got Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. He's going to be running. He's going to be catching screens. He's the only player for Carolina worth watching. If he gets injured, unfortunately, I think if he gets injured again this year, that's basically his career. You notice Saquon Barkley is not on this list. I think Brian Daboll would be able to use him really well. I said injuries don't come into play on this, but I think his body after the back-to-back year, I just think it's going to take a toll. McCaffrey's at that point. If he's injured again this year, I think he's basically done. He is a smaller running back. Najee Harris for the Steelers. They're going to try to ground and pound. They want to protect their quarterbacks, play defense the Pittsburgh Steeler way. Joe Mixon, like I said, his points are going to jump up. A lot of people would probably put him at 10, 11, or 12. I've got him at 7, I think, with that new offensive line. He's going to get a lot of runs, and I like where he's at. Kamara, he's going to be a huge part of the offense down in New Orleans. DeAndre Swift, just a shifty back. I love what Detroit's built on their offensive side up there in Detroit. And then we got Nick Chubb as well, the bruiser from Cleveland. All right, let's get into the wide receivers here. Really, I'm not going to go over this too terribly much. Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, Diggs, Allen, Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans. Why are 9 and 10 the way they are? CeeDee Lamb is basically Dak Prescott's one of two options to throw to in Dallas. And I think he's going to get so many targets that his receptions will be high. Don't know about the yards, but he's one of the few that Dak can throw the football to. And I think that's going to benefit him fantasy-wise 100%. Mike Evans, I'm sorry. I think between the three receivers there, Gage already has an injury right now. Godwin's got a even worse injury. It's bugging him again. And, Mike Evans, I love Mike Evans. He's been through a couple quarterbacks, and he is a dang good wide receiver. So 9 and 10 are there because their quarterbacks may only have them to throw to. But Tyreek Hill, Allen, Diggs, Chase, Samuel, Adams, Jefferson, Kupp, I mean, you could put them 1 through 8 in any way you want to, and you probably wouldn't be wrong. Amazing receivers. This league has got some special receivers that do different things, different ways. I love it. The versatility of those 10 receivers that are on your screen right now is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So those are my receivers. I'm not even going to spend too much time on this. It's straight up. It makes sense. They're going to score their points in fantasy. They're going to be great big receivers for their teams. And that's all you expect out of these guys. So there's the tight ends. Receivers. Let's get into the tight ends. All right. So there's a couple on here that everybody may not necessarily agree with, but we're going off of points. And what I think the point prediction is going to be, which goes into schedule, the offense and the defense that they're going to be playing, what the system is like. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, Dalton Schultz, George Kittle. Why is Dalton Schultz up there so high? He's the second one that Dak Prescott has to throw to. And that's it. He'll be doubled probably later in the year. So that could be a big problem. But for now, it's as the year plays out. We don't know how the year's going to play out. So Dalton Schultz, love him being in the 4th. Goddard, Kyle Pitts, Hawkinson, Fant, and Ertz. Now, 8, 9, and 10 is probably where the question marks are going to come in. TJ Hawkinson, Jared Goff loves his tight ends. They've got some fast receivers, and they got some fast receivers down in Detroit. And I think Hawkinson's going to be able to take advantage of that. They like running tight end screens. Probably helps when your head coach is a former tight end. But TJ Hawkinson, I believe, will get his catches, probably 55 to 60. Get his yards, 600 to 700 is my guess right now. And I'm going to say probably 6 or 7 touchdowns. I think he will be a solid, consistent tight end to get you 7, 8, 9 points a week, and then occasionally bump you up into those mid to higher teens the weeks that he scores touchdowns. So I like TJ Hawkinson. Noah Fant is more or less because I think the dump off game is going to be so huge for Seattle. That is it. I think their game is going to be so bad. Their offense is horrible. The quarterback's going to be running for his life. The O-line is absolutely dreadful. I think the tight ends are just going to end up getting a bunch of dink and dunk receptions for 4, 5, 6 yards at a time. Noah Fant is more than capable of being a solid tight end. I the only reason is because the team's going to be absolute trash. He's going to be a fantasy player you probably want on your team because he's going to get the receptions from the dump offs, the panic throws, and a bunch of other stuff. So look for Noah Fant quietly creeping in, and then Zach Ertz, Kyler Murray, I think is going to have a little bit more pressure than normal. And really, that's all it comes down to. I think he's not going to be able to wait. DeAndre Hopkins out for the first 6 games. Zach Ertz, I think, will be big earlier on in the year. So if you have Zach Ertz in the first 6 weeks, play him. I think Murray's going to be looking for him a lot early on in the season. So that's the tight ends. Now the final group. I am not going to tell you who to pick for kicker. I am sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I am not worried about who you pick for kicker. I really am not. There's only one, two, maybe 3 kickers I would actually draft on purpose. Justin Tucker is definitely one of them. You want Justin Tucker because Baltimore just trusts him to kick as long of a field goal as he possibly can. Honestly, the way it's coming around, you're gonna potentially want to draft the kickers that are inside the domes right now with no wind. That's what it used to always be. Problem is, back in the day, now see, I was one of the later ones. You guys remember when Matt Bryant played for Atlanta? He had an amazing couple seasons being their kicker. Loved Matt Bryant in Atlanta as my kicker. That dome, it works. The Colts have had Mike Vanderjagt, Adam Vinatieri. Now we got Rodrigo Blankenship, which I think is a sleeper for a kicker this year, but I'm not going to give you a ranking. Just draft. If the kicker is available and that team is playing Seattle, that team is playing Chicago, that team is playing Atlanta, Carolina, pick them up. They'll get points. Don't worry. All right, here's the defenses. This is going to probably make a couple people upset. This is going to make a couple people question whether I've lost my mind. No, I haven't lost my mind. This is off of roster, schedule, division, and what there is that's going on in these teams. The type of defense that it is. Rams and Bills are 1 and 2. The reason they are 1 and 2 is because of how they are coached. The Bills were the number 1 defense last year. They add Von Miller, which I think on third downs is going to potentially cause even more turnovers. Tre'Davious White is healthy again. All that being said, they could be number 1. I like the Rams defense because of Aaron Donald. Very few teams are used or even prepared to defend Aaron Donald, a defensive tackle like Warren Sapp back in the day that can bulldoze the line of scrimmage. They're not used to that. The guards aren't really ready for that anymore. And they play the Seahawks twice. They play the Cardinals twice, which their guards aren't that strong. The only team they struggle with when it comes to the line in their division is the 49ers. And I'll be honest, I mean, that's a team that the Rams don't want to play. But for sake of everything, the way I've got it set up, the Rams, I think, just have a little bit of an edge. But it all depends on the touchdown returns. Really is what it comes down to. Buffalo second. This is going to be an argument point right here. Third, I have Tampa Bay. Why? One simple reason. Their division. The Saints don't even know who their quarterback is. Winston feels healthy. He's probably going to be starting. He's a turnover machine. There's no Sean Payton down there. Dennis Allen takes over. There's no offensive guru running this offense. It is Jameis Winston on his own trying to figure stuff out, and he is not a good quarterback whatsoever. The Atlanta Falcons are basically tanking. And you got the Carolina Panthers with the Baker Mayfield that looks fantastic against backups in preseason. He's an upgrade from Sam Darnold, but the offensive line is horrible, and the Bucs have a solid defensive line. They play 6 games in their division. and they have a potential to win all 6 of those, basically with defense and running the ball. That is as simple as it gets. You have 6 games against a division that is absolutely horrible, and you guys get to draft a defense that you get 5 of those games, because the last week they play a division opponent. 5 of those games through your fantasy season, 1/3 of your games are probably going to have them scoring 15 to 20 points for you. It's huge the way they can play. The 49er defense, simple. They're stout. A little bit worried about their back end defense in the secondary, but that's okay. Baltimore Ravens, if they're healthy, listen, the Ravens defense, they were number 1 up until Lamar Jackson got hurt last year. They were first in the AFC. Their defense got shredded. If you remember, John Harbaugh said when they went for the 2-point conversion, he goes, why wouldn't I? I have no secondary. You have no secondary. Go for 2, go for the win. They just didn't have it. Denver, I think, has quietly built up pieces on the defensive side of the ball to be able to play hard. Randy Gregory, I think, was a huge get. And I think the way they're going to play is huge. Pittsburgh Steelers, the old Steelers, listen, I've said the entire time, anytime talking about the Steelers, the defense is not the problem. I just think they're going to get tired. At the end of the game, it's going to be they're too tired. And the Packers are going to be very defense and run centric, very defense and run focused. That is exactly what they're going to be. And I think that defense, Jair Alexander comes back, the all-pro corner. Their defense looks really good on paper, fast. I like what they got. I like what they've got going there. They play the Bears twice. And the schedule isn't necessarily going to be shootouts. I just don't think offensively they're going to be able to score enough points to stick with the teams, is really what it comes down to. So those are my 8 defenses I would draft. I know there's definitely some, swapping that people would do. This is based off of the schedule, the division, the system, and the players that they have. And that's as simple as it gets. I think Tampa Bay's defense is a sleeper. If you have them, you could really pull out some weeks just because of that defense. They play a lot of weak teams, and that defensive line will be able to run over most of the other offensive lines. So that's what we're looking at. And that is perfect. Perfect. Almost to a half hour. Didn't want this one to run too long. My next video is going to be relatively the same length as I do my standings video for the entire year. Like I said, we'll go over the rules for that as we get into the next video. That's going to be it for me tonight, guys. That is all. Picks are in for the year. Standings are done. Just got to get them up there. And everything else is set up. So big thanks to Penguin for getting me his top 10 fantasy players for the season. I'll get Dog involved here as the season continues to go on. And appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget Fantasy Football League. For those of you that want to try to play, I've got room to be able to go up to 16 teams in my league. Makes it interesting with 16 teams, that's for sure. You got to be right with what you do. But nonetheless, if you guys want to play fantasy football with Penguin, with Dog, and myself, join the Discord and then follow the rules for joining the fantasy football team. But until next time, guys, I will see you later. Wings up, hawk out. Take it easy, guys.